We're watching this one in the studio in the company of Callum Wilson and Kléberson, and we didn't get any goals, but there was plenty of, as I said before, endeavour and fight in this one.
There was definitely that, obviously, including 9 yellow cards, 1 red card that we got in the end. I think there was a high number of fouls that were... 40, so there you go. A lot of accumulated fouls, and that then brings its own problems within the game. It's hard for any team to get momentum, to try and build up a rhythm, because the other team keeps then constantly breaking it down. Yeah,
it's a really interesting point, actually. Do you feel the way they both approached it and the fact that maybe tempers did boil over a little bit, it kind of stopped the game getting any real flow and eventually getting a goal?
Yeah, they try to avoid the mistake. You know, they try to no one get close to the goal. I think because the game is so important for each one, they try to do so hard and score the goal, but they're not clean. They're not really clean. They don't have so many chances they can score the goals.
OK, well, let's take a look at a couple of the chances that River did have. A couple of really good saves from the Monterrey goalkeeper. Why do you feel, or Callum, I'm inclined to ask you about it from a forwards point of view, but probably we should focus in really on what the keeper did well here.
Yeah, obviously, you know, the keeper's covered the angle really well from the right winger. He's come back on his left foot, so it's quite predictable as to where he's going to put the ball. I think someone who's right-footed might have took it down the line, and you get a little bit more time then. Once you come back inside, you're running into bodies, and then obviously the striker's got another opportunity here. I think he's tried to square it, to be honest with you, but if he just gambles and just puts his foot through it on a tight angle, you don't know what could happen.
Yeah, what did you make of that one from Borja? Is it a case of he was perhaps a bit confused and a bit split as to whether he should shoot or square it?
Yeah, because he's in the front of the goal. He has a little bit more composed. They can shoot it, like control the ball and try to find another better situation to shoot in a goal, no?
Yeah, OK, well, let's take a look at some of the fouls that did take place in this game, and one in particular, because, Callum, actually, as we watched this, you said, oh, I like this one. I think it's safe to say this, if you looked up professional foul in the dictionary, this would be what you'd see. Yeah,
and I mean, of course, when it's, you know, one of your teammates doing it and the other team's on a counter-attack, that's what you want them to do. I think you know, the first player there's tried to do it, he missed him, then the second player's made sure that he didn't make no mistakes. But if it's given against you, you're obviously losing your head a little bit, obviously.
I was going to say, if the boot was on the other foot.
But that's what you want from your players, to be honest with you. And, I mean, it was an important foul.
Yeah, it was late on in the game, and I feel like that one kind of summed up the way the game was going at that point. At that point, it was like, we're not going to get a breakthrough, but we're just going to do the professional foul anyway. We're just going to stop the other team scoring. Would you have done the same in that situation?
I do the same, because that's the only way you can stop there's a danger counter-attack, no? There has to be stopped then.
Yeah, at that point, I think it was a case of both teams just wanting to hold on to what they did have. As we said, 9 yellow cards in this game and a red card as well. This one, can Castano have any complaints?
No, I think, obviously, when you're on a yellow card already and you make, obviously, this foul here, this was his first one, so to speak, in the game, and it's a bit of a naughty challenge, you know. Got a yellow card and he has no complaints. And then the second one, I think it was, you know, stopping a phase of play. And we just spoke about professional fouls, and when you're on a yellow card, you can't be the one to do the foul. You have to just let him go and keep 11 men on the pitch. But he didn't do that. It's costing team, and, you know, if they go through, then he might end up missing a game. Yeah,
that could have ramifications if they do go through.
Yeah, because they go so hard for winning the ball back, you know. And then if they not stop those balls, they still can go to the goal, no? That's a foul has to be have, no?
Overall, would you say a draw was a fair result?
It was a fair result. It was a scrappy game, scruffy game, and I think they'll both take a point and move on. Yeah,
it's so incredibly tight in terms of the top of this group, though. Will either of them look back on missed opportunities? Well, not that there was that many, to be honest.
Yeah, there's no main opportunity, but I think the result is, for Monterrey, it's a little bit more advanced, because they still have another game against Water, and I believe they're going to be play all they can have for the last match.
Yeah, it's a really good point that you make there, the fact that they play Utawa, who are already not going through. So they would potentially look at that and think, OK, we can get the 3 points. But that final group game between Inter and River Plate is so finely poised now. It's going to be really important.
Exactly, and obviously if one of them lose and then Monterrey beat Urawa, then all of a sudden they'll end up going through. So it's going to be tightly poised, and I guess, yeah, whoever wins on the night is the team that deserves to go through. But I think tonight, River Plate will probably be more disappointed out of the two teams with the opportunity that they missed. It was clear cut.
I mentioned then that River obviously played Inter on the final day. Inter were in action earlier and got the win. They did leave it incredibly late, though, didn't they? Haven't quite found their groove, I don't think.
No, and that sometimes happens in tournament football, but, it's obviously, if you're in it for the long haul, if you get through the group stages and you find your form towards the final, but they ended up getting themselves over the line. Here they got themselves back in the game with a fantastic finish from Martinez. And then they go and get a late winner, and that's what these moments are for. And there they are celebrating away as a team. What
can a late winner do if perhaps you haven't found your groove yet? By the way, this is a reminder once again of how Group E is looking. Just to reinforce everything we've said, it is so incredibly tight. River Plate and Milan. It looks like the winner of that is definitely going to be going through, but second place is completely up for grabs.
Yeah, just so open now. It's so open for these three teams. I think who avoid the mistake for the last game, we will have a chance to advance. It will be like a 5 games River Plate Inter Milan.
Do you think that game could be quite cagey because there is everything to almost lose?
Yeah, probably. Because imagine the times keep going, or 0-0 or 1-0 for another team, it will be like so crazy. They're going to be throwing like forwards. They're going to be throwing balls on the box. It's going to be like so crazy game. Yeah,
and Monterrey, knowing they're playing Utah, all of a sudden it makes today's point for them look pretty good because they'd like to think they can get the win in that final group game, and then they could actually sneak through themselves. Yeah, the point today on the board still keeps them in the mix, and they know that the two teams at the top of the table are going head to head. And even if they was to draw and then beat Urawa by more than 2 goals, then they end up going through as almost winners of the group. So it's crazy how the ramifications could end up working out. Who's going through in this group? I think Inter Milan and River Plate. I think what that will happen is that game will probably be a draw, and I think that Monterrey will win, but the goal difference will probably just be slightly too much for them. What do you think, Kléberson?
I think it's be Inter de Milan and Monterrey.
Oh, yes, I love that bit of difference. Well, it's all to play for. Someone's just said in my ear, Argentinian bias. Or the other way even. OK, well, it's...